Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and a little while ago I did a video discussing realities and myths and nonsense versus truth in the sports nutrition world regarding protein intake, and I had someone ask a question of saying, hey, why are you talking about grams of protein per pound of body weight instead of per pound of lean mass? Because, I know people out there who say you need to base it on your lean mass. And, here's the thing, guys. This is the sort of paralysis by analysis that people get obsessed over in both their diet and their training, and then wonder why all their efforts don't produce the results they want, meaning they're still not getting bigger and stronger. And a lot of it is because people get hung up in minutia that really and truly not only doesn't matter, but they don't even have the ability to track. And that's the thing. A lot of people get really OCD about things that don't matter. Some people are going to try to say, oh, well, maybe that's why you're not ripped. It has nothing to do with it. I'm not ripped because I eat a lot of calories. How's that for an answer? Real simple explanation. That's it. Only explanation. I eat a lot of calories. I burn a lot of calories, but I eat a lot. Therefore, I'm not ripped. Real simple. It's pretty straightforward, guys. But back to this point of when people get into trying to track macros and calculate things, they actually come up with ideas that are impractical and really believe that they're doing something important. And that's a perfect example. Now, I will stand here and tell you guys that, basing it on body weight seems to work for Olympic athletes who win gold medals. It seems to work for people winning Super Bowls. In other words, the most elite athletes on the face of the earth, their sports nutritionists seem to have no trouble using their body weight for calculations like that. And you know what? Here's the thing. What did I give you guys? I gave you ranges. And for a given person, say my body weight, that range, that ideal range for gaining muscle mass, was actually a 60 gram variation. It wasn't like an exact number. It was a range that varies up to 50 to 60 grams for the same person. It was a range. It was a sweet spot range. It wasn't an exact calculation. And here's the thing. How many of you actually know your lean body mass? I mean, people say, well, I want to calculate on that because that's more important. Are you sure it's more important? Are you sure your body fat doesn't have any metabolic functions or affect your body in any way? Because I think it does. I think it does affect your body. But you know what? More importantly, we're using body weight to establish an ideal range, not to pinpoint a number. So people are like, well, I want to get more exact, and so they want to use their lean body mass. Well, how many of you know your body composition? And here's the thing, your body composition changes every few months. So in other words, you don't know what your body fat percentage is right now. I promise you don't. Unless you had a DEXA scan within the last month, I promise you right now, you don't know your body fat percentage within 1%, because calipers, bod pods, bioimpedance do not work. The only accurate measurement we have is DEXA scans, and they're still off. You can skew a DEXA scan by what you eat for breakfast. You can skew it 3 or 4%. Well, if a 3 or 4% variation in a DEXA scan on body composition could equal as much as 10 pounds difference in muscle mass, that could be 10 grams different on your little calculation. You see the problem here? You don't even have an accurate way to measure your exact body composition, so why bother? You can step on a scale and know what you weigh right now, enough to say, man, I weigh 220 pounds. I need 100 to 160 grams of protein to gain muscle. I need between 150 and 200 when losing body fat to maintain muscle. See how easy that was? See how easy that was with just a scale? And that puts you in the range recommended by the top sports nutritionists for strength athletes around the world. You didn't have to try to figure out your lean mass. And here's the thing, you don't know your lean mass anyways. And I'm going to make people feel even worse. You don't know how many grams of protein you ate today. You do not know how much protein you ate today. The only form of measurement that's probably accurate is if you're getting your protein from milk that stays at a continual liquid consistency. That's probably about the only accurate measure that you can get within 3 to 4% accuracy. So in other words, your chicken breast or your whey protein or whatever else you consume, the scale weight and the volume weights are impacted by moisture. Whereas in milk is in a sealed environment with water, and it's a contained environment, so you can accurately measure that. You can't accurately measure how many grams of protein are in your scoop of whey protein. It's like, well, I use the powder measure and then a digital scale. Well, the moisture affects the fluffiness of the powder. So the humidity affects it. The humidity will affect scale weight. The more humid it's been exposed to, the more it will be offset on the scale, because the water in it adds weight but doesn't add protein. You don't know how many grams of protein you ate yesterday. You think you ate 200, right? Well, you could have eaten 180 to 220. You're going to be off easily by plus or minus 10%. You're going to be off by 10%, even with the best measurements you can afford as a person with a budget who's not a millionaire. You don't have access to equipment to tell you exactly how much protein you ate. But, that's what people do. Then they want to come up with this, I want to track my exact macros and I use a digital scale. Do you really think that works? You don't know basic physics and chemistry if you think that the scales that you're using when dealing with moisture-ridden foods is actually telling you the exact amount of carbs that you know to the gram, how many carbs you ate, or the exact amount. You're plus or minus 10%. All right, your 400 grams of carbs a day is probably between 360 and 440. You measured 400 on your scale. So you see the problem when people try to get meticulous with this stuff? These things are ballparks. These things are ballparks. That's all they are. So when you see someone say something absurd like eat 0.82 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass, do you know how absurd and impractical it is to actually try to do that? You know how absurd that is? You're going to get it down to 0.8. You can't even get your protein measured that close, and you sure as hell don't know your body composition. This stuff is ballpark ranges based upon observations and various athletes and studies and things. That's all it is. It's an estimate. Your caloric intake and your caloric expenditure is an estimate. But people sit around obsessing over these things. They obsess over things that they can't even accurately measure and act like their calculations are so critical. It's not. These are ballparks. Just to make sure that you're losing weight when you're trying to lose body fat and not losing it too quickly, so that you gain weight without gaining too much weight when you're bulking, so that you consume a rough estimate of the amount of protein you need. And here's the thing. Tracking protein is almost borderline absurd. Yes, I gave recommendations. Do you know how easy it is to go over those numbers? All right, if you're a raw vegan, okay, it's really hard. But if you actually consume lean animal source protein every single day, whether it's skim milk or chicken breast or fish or lean steak or egg whites, if you actually eat this sort of stuff at least 2 out of your meals every day, and you're consuming mostly whole foods, do you honestly think anyone who has a high energy turnover, who's athletic and they work out and do cardio, do you honestly think you're falling underneath those recommendations? I'm not talking about the guy who's cutting on 1,800 calories and trying to hit, 200 grams of protein. Okay, that might require you to measure something. But to get 150 grams of protein when you're on a 2,800 or 3,000 calorie diet, you would actually have to avoid high protein foods to fall under that number. All right, you would actually have to try to do so. Because go plug in the math. Go look at whole wheat pasta, beans, little chicken thrown in there, or a little lean ground beef. All right, you could easily hit 250 grams of protein on a 3,000 calorie whole food diet without even trying. So again, people obsess over minutia that doesn't matter. Meaning it matters in the body, but you don't have enough control over it for it to really matter. And here's the thing. You want to know what will cost you muscle gains and cause you to lose muscle faster than anything? Stress and anxiety. Sitting around stressing over silly crap like this, that'll cost you muscle gains. That'll slow down your recovery. But people do it. And, I almost need to make a series on this, because the same thing could be said of a lot of training nonsense. You guys are like, I'm struggling to build my chest up. Well, get your pause bench up. Get your pause bench up. Problem solve. My quads aren't growing. Add 50 pounds to your squat. make sure you get full range of motion. All right, these are easy problems to fix. The problem is your programming. The problem is you're not getting strong on your big lifts. That's the only reason you're not growing. Or you're sitting around worried about trying to calculate to the exact gram the amount of protein you think you need, or you think you need exactly 273 grams of carbs, and you honestly think that you have the ability to measure that. It's delusional, guys. You don't. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.